So we are up to session five. Who would like to give a recap of session four, which also involved pickled food items?
Mm.
There were pickled eggs at the Pickled Orc Tavern.
Oh yeah. I'll
Does
be honest,
anyone?
I don't remember much of the last session.
Let me pull up my notes.
I know we we're finally able to get into that that safe.
When
Right.
we gave the
You
goblins a 50 gold piece.
right. So you started out in the vault with all the chests, and Lee started stuffing the biggest chest with as many of the documents as he could fit. While you were doing that and trying to organize things to get it out, you began to feel the sort of static electrical charge of the bite, which suggested that something was coming through the bite and entering the room to the south. You then almost immediately heard the goblins screaming and the sounds of fighting. So Paelius snuck his way down south to take a look and saw several goblin corpses in the room and a sort of ooze like group of slugs that had formed into a mass and were eating one of the goblins. So Paelius came back and told everybody, you draped the unconscious Mbop over the chest. And then Pebble got on top of Mbop and Lee began to drag the chest south. Paelius used his deck of illusions to create an illusionary knoll, which distracted the slugs for a while. One of the slug heads, which were humanoid in shape, detached from the slug body and began to fly around, also trying to attack the knoll. You started to make your way through the room, and a second head detached and flew after you and started fighting you, which eventually led the slug creature to come over and fight you as well. After you got past them, you found all of the retreated goblins still up in the hallway. And that's where the goblin boss said he wanted to look through the chest before he was going to let you go by. Lee then suggested that opening the chest would be dangerous, so he appointed one of the goblin interns to open the chest instead of himself, where he saw it was just documents. And you negotiated for a while with Pebble eventually agreeing to pay 50 gold pieces for them to let you carry the chests out. So they sent a goblin along with you to watch you drag this chest out just to make sure that nothing went awry or that you didn't, pick something else up along the way. You got back into the first room that had the ladder up, and it also had a still sealed vault door. But this time you had Paelius with you, whereas he had been away the first time you came through. So Elzen cast Sleep, which knocked the goblin out. And Paelius then opened up the vault door where you found some chests beyond that. Each of you managed to pick up a gemstone and like a pile of silver and some gold. I forget the exact amount. I could probably
It's
look it up.
300. We were able to get 300 gold pieces worth of stuff out, I think.
No, it wasn't. There wasn't that much gold in there. 300 was the amount of gold, like starting gold, everybody had to just buy equipment, which had come up later in the session. I had
Oh,
it,
okay.
somebody had asked. Uh, I forget exactly. I still forget exactly how much you got, but it was like at least 50, like 50-ish silver a piece, plus each of you got a gem, and then each of you got like a handful of gold. There definitely weren't 300 gold in those chests.
Okay.
Uh, so the sleep only lasts a minute, so you knew the goblin was going to wake up again. There was like a wooden box filled with blankets, like silver flame embroidered blankets. So you covered him in one of the blankets. He woke up suspicious because, goblins get hit with sleep spells a lot. So he was familiar with the sleep spell, but you still managed to convince him that he was just dog tired and so passed out. And that's when you covered him with the blanket. And he then, begged you not to tell his boss that he fell asleep on the job. But They were just working constantly. Right. So 50 silver sounds familiar to me. I don't, well, we'll say you each got 10 gold. I don't remember exactly how much gold you got, but there were some gold in there.
I also remember there was I think it was around this time that with the pebble offering uh the amount that was asked when somebody
That,
else was about to haggle.
right. That was 50 gold. And they were in the process of haggling your way down when Pebble was like, "Oh, I'll pay 50 gold."
And like, yeah, and Elzen was about to like haggle it further. Yeah.
Right.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah, we were both right there, like ready. You
Yeah.
know, the two of us had it. He ain't gonna fucking stand a chance. And they're like, I'll do it. And I'm like, ah, well, all right. I tried to steal it back. I'm like, it's fine. I'll tell you.
So you made your way up and out with this chest. Orson, who was leading the group of Silver Flame worshippers, did go in and check the chest to see all that was in there. And seeing that it was only documents, he honored his bargain with Elitau and was going to let you leave. He was unaware that one of you had already had the magical tablet that you got off of Randus the intern, because that wasn't in the chest. And they didn't bother to search you, just assuming that you were also upholding the bargain of not taking anything magical with you. So Elatal summoned a sky sled, and you flew back to where the shepherds are, many levels up. Uh, that was when Paelius said that you would spend 150 gold to get through past the goblin boss, but Lee decided to chime in and say, "Now don't lie, it was 125." And Shepherd Hermas immediately was like, "Oh, that's fine. I'll give you the 125. We'll reimburse you for that." And then he called a bunch of apprentice shepherds over and had them start to go through all of the stuff that was in the chest. You later found out that the chest all related to you. The goblins could read it too, so maybe that's when it got revealed. But the chest mostly related to the Aurum, which was once upon a time a group that styled itself as a sort of social organization of wealthy families that started with a bunch of dwarves in the Maror Hold. Sorry, you doing something, Mike?
No, Lisa's just going up to check on Maddox. So,
I see.
but she's
That's
still
fine.
gonna be paying attention where she can.
So it was made up of the Aurum is made up of the elites of Corvair, or at least it was before the Greater Mourning. Uh, there were some rumors, I forget who actually made the history check, but there were some rumors that they actually were like the Eberron Illuminati and pulling the strings of every government behind the scenes, and supposedly had a shadow cabinet that directed all of the policies going on in the Five Kingdoms. You also learned that there was some event called the Night of Long Knives, where in the Black Cap Mountains of northern Eridane, on a specific date in 998, they were trying to do something that wound up releasing a green mist from the Black Pit in the Black Cap Mountains. And everything about it just sounded very much like the Bite, except that nobody had ever, there's no actual recording of anything earlier that seems like it could be the Bite. And this was, a green mist, and there were creatures living in it that seemed to come out and attack creatures that got too close or that went into the mist, which sounds identical to the Bite as people understand it. So they decided they were going to send you guys back so that you could go to the Black Pit on the date, which I think was the first of Arith. Yeah, the first of Arith in 998. They were going to send you back to a point, hopefully close physically to that site, and at some point before the actual event, so that in case you wind up in the wrong place, you'll have time to travel there. It was explained to you that time travel not exactly precise, so they can put you down in an approximate location at an approximate time, but there's a fair bit of variation in how close exactly they'll get. Also, the closer they try to get one, the more error there will be in another. So it's constantly a balancing act. You would also have known, I don't think I mentioned this last time, but you would also have known that sometimes there are reports of just wide errors, like people winding up a century too early or decades too late for what it is they were supposed to do. So normally they're able to correct these things when those big events happen, but yeah, it can be a bumpy ride, and you never can really be sure how close in time you're going to get to the actual event you're looking at. You entered a room where all of their time travel related crystals and sigils are set up. A large clock loomed overhead, and you could hear it ticking loudly. There were, all of the sigils on the floor began to glow, and the clock itself felt like it began to expand overhead. The room got extremely bright with the magical lights from the sigils. And then the ticking stopped and the light began to clear. And as your vision returned, you found yourself standing in a grassy plain, a rarity in your experience. In the distance, you could see it was now nighttime and you had left during the day. In the distance, you could see there was a walled city, not Sharn, some different looking city, sort of low in profile, so very different from the towers you're used to seeing. And then behind you, you could hear the sound of music, and about half a mile to a mile off, you could see was a circus that was running, and you could see nearby there was a sign that said Shebop, Lady of Mystery, and her Circus of Spectacles in big red lettering. So as you stand there, it is essentially twilight. The sun is going down in one direction. Behind the city, you can see the whole city is framed by an enormous lake that extends almost from horizon to horizon. You have no idea where you are, but it's not especially hilly, so you're pretty sure you're not in the Black Cat Mountains, but you don't know which direction you would have to go to get to them. Presumably, the sun setting over the lake means that that is the west. That would make the carnival to the north of you. You also notice that just in front of you, there is an enormous pyramid shaped structure. It's about 5 feet tall, appears to be made of some sort of crystalline rock, and it gently begins to glow.
How big? How big is it?
About 5 feet across at the base,
And how tall?
also about 5 feet high.
How far away again?
It's basically right next to where you are.
I take a few steps away from it.
In the
And
distance, about 25 feet away, you actually, turning behind you, see a second pyramid that is also glowing. In fact, there's a whole string of them that seem to extend off towards the city.
um, are there any lights or sounds coming from the tent?
So it's actually the circus itself does have like a big top tent, but there seem to be many tents and wagons. It is, like I said, half a mile off, so it's hard to make out the distance, but you can hear the sound of like a distant, a, there's definitely music coming from the carnival. You also hear more or less like a whooshing sound, like a great wind begins to pick up, though you don't feel any wind.
Uh, Pebble seeing people and hearing music, he goes, "New friends!" And he immediately runs towards in the direction.
And then I'll look to the rest of the party. And where shall we go?
Well, I think we
Let's come away from those.
I think
Let's
we
not
need to
stand
follow.
between them.
I think we need to follow him.
Follow him.
Uh,
So you all,
Pe-
except for Pielius and Pebble, Everybody else needs to make me a deck save as you begin to hear a siren.
I thought that's what it was.
Yep, that's about what I expected.
My saying, "Hey, come here away from those," maybe give them advantage. I don't know.
I'll give you that. They can get advantage. It's not going to help Lee.
No. Well, that's what
Hey,
action
Mike,
dice
can you
for,
roll
right?
for me?
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Dexterity, you said?
Yep. So
It says
only
Pebble, but it's
Yeah, okay.
Bob.
yeah, that's fine. Does she have the same dex as you?
No, it says my name
Oh, I see. I see.
because
I got it.
yeah.
So all of you manage to dive out of the way as these arcs of electricity begin to shoot up from the pyramids at the oncoming train that is flying over top of them. Uh, Lee, you take 10 points of damage. 5 of it is lightning, and 5 of it is bludgeoning as you are basically knocked out of the way as the lightning rail speeds by you.
Nice.
Meanwhile, Pebble, excited and probably like 50 feet away, turns back and says, "Guys, let's go! Oh, oh!" And then he starts running back. What happened? What happened? What's that? That's so cool. It's just riding by. But what happened?
Yeah, you see, none of you. So, Elzin, you would have seen not an operating, but at least a non-operating lightning rail in Stormhome. Uh, but for the rest of you, this is the first time actually even seeing a train at all as it roars by, car after car in a long string of trains headed towards whatever city that is off in the distance.
It is a train. We have these in our time as well.
A train? What's a train?
It
Yeah,
is.
again, there's no
I just point
operating
at it.
lightning rails.
There's no what,
Operating
Right.
lightning rails in your time.
but I've seen them at Stormhome.
You would have seen essentially like a museum piece at Stormhome.
Oh, okay. I thought you like on Stormhome they still had them. Ah, I believe I've seen these in our time. There's a museum, and there's a museum of these artifacts. I believe the historians have called them the Lightning Rail.
Lightning rail. That sounds fun. Sounds explosive too.
See why they don't exist. They're too dangerous.
Seem awfully
Oh,
fast.
Lee, are you hurt? Do you need help?
I'll be fine.
This
Someone needs to take the markings down or whatever that thing was.
Oh,
Okay, hit and run.
I think it's too far for me to see, and it's dark. It's dark out.
It's getting there. Well, let's perhaps go to this circus.
I mean, are you not impressed, bewildered? Look. And like he gestures to the vista. When have you seen this much green grass, this much ground, not covered in mist? Just take a moment. And he takes a deep breath. There are not many places where you can experience this.
Yes.
In our
Yeah,
place.
it smells
let's
good
make
out
sure-
here.
Let's make sure we're
Smells
safe.
like burnt feathers, and I don't appreciate that.
Oh no, Lee, you must be hurt. Can I help you in any way? Do you need me to carry something? I can try and carry something. I'm not very big, but I'll do my best.
I think Lee could use a hug.
Oh, I'm good at that. And he goes and he wraps his arms around your arm, because, or well, rather your leg. I don't know if you're still on the ground. I kind of pictured you still on the ground, but if had gotten up, then around your leg.
Yeah,
I
you
would've
can
helped
try
Lee
to
up.
dodge.
I choose to fail.
Lee, are you looking for an emotional support penguin? Because if you are, I think I know the right candidate.
I, I don't know what that first word is, but the second word, support, I could be good at support.
Well, let's get away from these things. I don't know how many there more are there or when that will return.
Oh yeah, that looked really dangerous. We should get away. Let's go to that place where all the people, we can hear the music, and it sounds like a fun place to go. And we're gonna meet lots of friends, I'm sure.
Yes, we should get going. This is beautiful.
Yeah, I'd rather enjoy the good smell of cooked food. I think perhaps we can get some here.
Yes. Like here they cook everything in meat water.
Salted meat water.
Surely not their mac and cheese too.
You guys shouldn't laugh at that. It's a delicacy.
To people no longer alive.
Now I want to know what Pengal cuisine really is. Apparently it's mac and cheese.
Fish water.
Yeah, I was gonna say salted fish water.
Well, yeah, just seawater at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
plenty of salt in that.
So you head north in the direction of this circus. You come across, there is a stream between you and the circus, but you can hear the music now quite loudly, and you could see look like there are hundreds of people milling about a fairgrounds that surround the big top tent. There is a bridge that crosses over the ferry. You also see two giant geese that seem to be lazily moving down the stream. There are large saddles on their backs, and some of the fair goers are essentially just sailing slowly down the stream that encircles the entire circus.
Sounds like Liberation Day to me.
Crossing the bridge, you see there is a goblin that is sitting in one of the stalls right near the entrance. And he waves you over, saying, "Tickets, everybody needs a ticket."
Ticket.
Ticket? What's a ticket?
How much is the ticket to this fine establishment?
He looks you all over and says, "Well, I've been waiting for you for quite a while now. Yeah, I was told you'd be here. I was also told that it would be about time when you got here. Wasn't exactly sure what that meant. Mr. Wolf wanted me to be sure that you had your tickets, and he reaches under the counter and produces a box. He reaches in and takes out 5 tickets that are just, for those who don't know, they're tickets. They're out of character tickets. And he explains to you that the various attractions all require that you get your ticket punched. Each ticket is good for 8 of the attractions. So every time you go, they will give your ticket a punch hole, and as long as you have less than 8, you can go to another attraction after that. The games and rides essentially all require a punch hole, except for the feasting area that essentially you can go to for free. Or if you just want to go listen to the mermaid sing, that's also free. And
They're mermaids and not sirens.
no, it's a mermaid. That's a good idea, though. You should talk to Mr. Cadfile and Mr. Cadfay. They may want to look into getting a siren. The sirens might drown the guests, though. That might not be so good. But maybe we could find a siren that didn't want to drown everybody. They exist, right?
Maybe. I am sure with enough convincing, you can convince a siren to do anything.
Yeah, he lifts up an ear horn to listen to you. He's a sort of elderly goblin and doesn't seem to quite hear every word that you're saying. So here are your tickets. You're also going to need these. And he reaches under his desk and produces 5 pairs of cloth fairy wings. You don't have to wear them. Just carry them with you. But if you would wear them, that would, I'm sure, make Mr. Cadfay even happier.
How do I put these on? They look so pretty.
And he shows you there's a little harness that you wrap around your arms and around your waist.
Look at me, guys. Look at me. I got things on my back.
Yes, that's very
So
nice.
Pebble
Who
is
is this?
wearing his fairy wings.
I don't like. I haven't even moved to grab them yet. I'm like, so who is it? This person that you said was expecting us or gave you these tickets for us?
That would be Mr. Wolf. He dropped off the tickets and said you'd be here about time or something like that.
Is
That
he
when
around?
he said that when you got here, it would be about time. Like he knew you were going to be late. You're not
Of
actually
course.
that late. The carnival opens up at sunset, so just a couple minutes ago.
How many
Yes.
tickets? How many punch holes do we have?
Each ticket's good for 8 attractions.
Where's this Mr. Wolf?
I don't know. He's inside somewhere, I'm sure.
You
What's
mean
he
we
look
get
like?
to find him, but we get to look at all these cool things first, and we get to see somebody singing. I love hear somebody singing.
Oh well,
I'd like to lodge a complaint about one of your attractions, the Lightning Death Machine. Yes, that is very dangerous.
What is the lightning death machine?
I point in the direction where the lightning rail went by. That thing that went by, that attraction, whatever it was, it's very
You mean
dangerous. There's no signs warning anyone.
you mean the train?
Yeah, well, if that's what you call it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's not ours. That is just that's operated by House Orion. And there are these pyramids on the ground. Like it makes it really obvious where the train's going to go.
Not really. House Orion, good. Okay. I'll have to talk to them.
Yeah, they're all over the continent. You've never come across the lightning rail before? Or I mean I can see you're an Arakakra, so you're probably not from this plane. But yeah, they're all over the place. So watch out for those pyramids because you'll be standing in the lightning rail.
Good to know.
I come from Frostfell.
Really? You're also a long distance away, but at least you're from this plane. I guess there's no lightning rail in the Frostville, so you probably haven't run across them either.
What's a plane?
A
We're
plane of
busy.
existence?
We're busy. Stop it.
I want to know. You got a thing I don't know.
What's
See,
this
there-
wolf look like?
He looks like a giant wolf. I don't think there are many giant wolves in the circus, so you should be able to pick him out right away.
He is a wolf named Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
Why is it so on the nose?
What would you name a wolf?
You could come up with any
Wait,
number
wait.
of names.
Uh,
I suppose.
Scratches.
Fluffy,
Oh, you're awake.
husky.
All good suggestions, but we went with Mr. Wolf. He's been here for quite a while, so I think he wanted to talk to you. So I'm surprised he didn't tell me where you could meet him, but maybe he's not staying in one place. Maybe he's wandering around. I'm sure you'll find him if you just look around the fairground. Maybe go to the bubbled teapot and then you can fly around.
We
Understood.
can fly?
I should give you a map. A lot of the visitors would like a map. I won't even charge you for it. And he reaches down and takes out a folded piece of paper on which you can see there is a map of the circus.
Do you expect to get very many visitors?
Um, well, people seem to come in much more often than they leave. It's been a while since I've seen anybody leave. This is the one way over the stream. I mean, unless you want to swim across, I guess. So, hundreds of people here. I guess that might make it a little harder to find Mr. Wolf.
Here's a funny question. Don't look too far into it. Um, what is the nearest city and where is it at?
So the nearest city right now is Passage. It's 2 or 3 miles south of here, or roughly south of here.
See if I can. What was that?
Passage.
Is that on the map here?
It is. It is on the main map. It is. So if you go north of Eridane, right along the lake, there you'll find Passage. Lake Galifar, I mean.
Oh, yeah, okay. And it was to the north, or
It's to the south, roughly to the
south.
south of where you are. In fact, hearing that, anybody who wants to make a history check can.
Alzen certainly would.
This is for Umbop.
So you would know Passage is a relatively, or Paelius would know that Passage is a relatively large uh, city, probably several tens of thousands of people, is a major rail hub. You would also know that you're not all that close to where you need to be, like hundreds of miles off.
Probably need to get on that lightning rail. We can get on that lightning rail from Passage, correct?
Oh yeah, yeah. The Passage is a big hub for the lightning rail.
Beautiful. Thank you for your time.
But we're not gonna go yet, right? We got all these things to go see, these things to do, all these fun sounds, and all these fun friends to meet.
We're gonna look around.
You can
So-
see
I-
Pebble is positively like shaking with barely contained joy and excitement.
So is anyone else wearing their fairy wings?
I never grabbed him. I did, however, give him a silver piece for his time and information.
He would thank you for that and pocket it.
Bath is wearing the wings.
Alzen's gonna fold them up and place them into his clothes.
What do they look like?
They are purple and gold.
Well made, or
Yeah, they're reasonably well made. I mean, you don't imagine they would like cost more than a silver piece to make,
sure?
but
Yeah,
you
they're
know,
not-
as
I never would
as
have grabbed one.
right, and they don't necessarily look like they're super sturdy, but you know, as costume wings go, they look nice. They're like a children's Halloween costume wings.
Mhm. They clash with my outfit.
So as you start to stow your stuff, the goblin, who is now looking at you through a spyglass, says, excuse me, sir, if you don't wear your wings or at least display them, the circus hands won't know that you've paid for a ticket, and they may try to toss you out.
Would
What
Not
what if
presenting
I
the
ha
ticket to indicate that I have a ticket.
It would, but you're going to get stopped a lot because they're looking for people with the wings. Like I said, you don't have to wear them, but you should at least have them visible so that we could see that you've got the wings. People try to sneak in here all the time because it's just an open fairground.
How dare they?
Hey, Elias, why don't you wear the wings? You would look smashing in these wings.
I would, of course, I would. I'll grab them and just like put them under my arm. I'll
Fine.
think about it.
I
What
will.
is what is Lee doing with the wings?
He's already got wings. So
I
what do
look at him and say, "Did they help you fly?"
No, they're just cloth wings. They'll help you not get hassled by the circus hands.
Did he hand everybody a map?
He would have given you one map, but
Okay, for us to
it's
look
the
at.
map that's on screen.
Okay, okay.
I think for a moment. I'm like, here, and I give my wings to the Pengol.
Ah, double wings?
Yeah, you represent me in this case. How about that?
Ah, can you help me put them on? And can you put them in the front? I want them in the back and the front.
Sure. I just like kind of. I don't imagine it's a very difficult thing to do.
No, you're able to fasten them sort of backwards on Pebble so that he has wings sticking out the front and the back of him.
And he starts just leaping in the air, much higher than you would expect him to be able to leap.
Because of the wings.
Exactly.
And as you're doing this, you see drifting overhead is a dwarf in an enormous bubble. Slightly bigger than the dwarf himself. He is just floating about 20 feet over your heads, moving generally northeast. And then the bubble bursts and he floats gently to the ground and then immediately turns and runs southward again.
And Pebble immediately runs after.
Excuse me, excuse me, excuse me.
He stops and turns to you.
How did you do that?
Do what?
The thing where you were up there, and then you float down?
Oh, just go to the bubble pot teapot.
he wait, he starts running, but then he goes back.
Where is that?
It's south of here. You can't miss it. It's a giant teapot.
What what's south?
He points in a direction.
And he jumps up and he starts running over there.
We are never going to be able to keep up with his energy.
We're never going to leave.
Uh, maybe he won't. I will definitely be leaving.
Oh, Elzen's like sighs and just like pulls out the cloth wings and puts them on.
I pull my drone out of the box and have it fly up. I'm just gonna have it.
Fly.
But yeah,
Go
I'm
ahead.
basically gonna search for the wolf.
Okay, so where are you sending it to search?
Um, I guess I'll just run it around the perimeter, going south first from where we are.
So I think you can always see out of it like when you're within 100 feet. I forget the distance. I might be
Yeah,
mistaken about that.
I was trying to find the description for it again.
So there is a magic item section in the journal, and I'm sure it's in there.
It probably is. Yeah, searcher box. There it is.
Oh, that's true. It may be, I may have put it in with your character.
Yeah, it's under magic items here. There's one here.
Oh, I see. The thing that's next to your character is actually just the token for the searcher box. So that if you need to put it on the map, you can.
Yeah, I got this drone here.
So have the other people, I mean, I know Pebble hasn't seen the drone, but Pebble has run off. Pebble may be gone from the campaign from now on. But I don't know if other people have seen you use the drone before.
Yeah, I don't know.
Alzen certainly wouldn't have. Um, though he maybe he'd be familiar with them and generally, or at least heard of them.
Mm, yeah, I don't think it doesn't say there's no limit to how far away it can be. It's like um arcane eye.
Right.
So it just only has 30 feet of vision. So it has to be relatively close to the ground in order to have a good sight on anything.
So
Okay.
it can't just go straight up and just look down over the entire area.
Doesn't look like it, no.
Right. So yeah, I was just misremembering. I'm sure I'm probably thinking of the rules on when you can look through your familiar's eyes. So yeah,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
right. This is more like Arcane Eye now that you remind me of that. Um, so you can send it to the south. You do discover this field is very large, so it will take a while to go around the perimeter.
sure. Um, so I will have it go one direction and then I'll just start walking the other direction.
Okay, so which direction are you walking?
Um, Up through, I guess, past Calliope here and then up to Lost Property.
Right. So you're actually just to the south. You're at the ticket booth, which is just to
Yep.
the south of Lost Property. So you don't actually have to. You can go in between these tents. You don't
Okay.
necessarily have to go around up to Calliope. Although you definitely hear Calliope music, it seems to be extending for quite some distance from the actual Calliope. So
Now,
you're going north then, and you're sending the drone south.
yeah, but I would stick myself into the main thoroughfares, I guess. Um, I guess there's no other patrons at the moment then. Or
There's patrons all over the place. There are
oh,
crowds
okay,
of people. I haven't depicted them all because that would be sort of a useless drag on people's RAM for me to have hundreds of little tokens that I'm
for
not
sure.
bothering to move.
I just wasn't sure because he said
Static,
like it
we
just
no
opened
skill.
not that long ago, so I guess these people were waiting outside.
Right. Anyway, he also said he hasn't seen anybody leave yet.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so you send the drone south. The drone is essentially moving in roughly the same direction as Pebble.
Yeah.
Where are the rest of you going?
Yeah. I just say I'll look for the wolf. Do what you want and start walking.
Um,
We have our radios to communicate, so
time travel would make Elzen hungry, so he's gonna head to the feasting. Was it the feasting grounds?
The feasting area, yes.
The feasting area.
So
Uh, to,
that is north as well. So I mean, you could walk
yeah.
with Pyelius at least for some distance.
yes, the feasting area. So yeah, he's gonna head to the feasting area.
And Lee and Mbop.
I think Mbop wants to go see the mermaids.
So the mermaid isn't listed. If you ask the goblin, he will tell you that you have to go up to the Silverstone Lake for that. But she's probably singing there now.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that is
Then
also
I'm gonna
sort of north. That's more northwest.
okay. Then I'm gonna go look for the wolf too.
And Lee.
Well, Lee is also a little bit hungry, but also would enjoy betting on some races. So he is going to head south to the snail races to take care of both things. Maybe get to eat the loser.
Delicacy.
So you and Pebble, Lee and Pebble are heading south. Pebble is well ahead of you at this moment. You can see the giant teapot that he's running towards alongside a dwarf.
By the way, Pebble is running like this.
Pebble is running in an energetic fashion that makes it look like the little wings he's wearing are actually flapping. So those of you who are going north, which is everybody but Lee and Pebble, you almost immediately come across a wagon that's labeled lost property on the map, and you see a similar sign attached to the side of the wagon. Outside, you could see there is a large blue-furred feline creature that has a large wooden cask around its neck and tentacles growing out of its back that is roughhousing with three little human boys. And they seem to be having the time of their lives just wrestling with this giant displacer beast who seems to be talking to them as it wrestles. When you get close, the displacer beast rises up and stretches and then says, "Are you here to recover lost property?"
Uh, no, but if I do lose something, at least now I know where to find it.
Are any of these children yours? Obviously not yours, halfling, as these are human children. Do you know their parents? We have been looking for them. And as he talks, one of the children runs over and pulls out a cup. And the displacer beast sort of leans over, and a liquid begins to pour out of the cask around his neck. And the boy begins to drink it.
We have just arrived, so we have not seen anyone around. But we will of course look for them and let them know that their children are doing just fine at the House of Lost Property.
Pyelius looks back confused, like, what the fuck are we doing?
One of the boys goes over to a bin and pulls out a mirrored ball. And you see the otherwise well-tempered displacer beast suddenly gets angry and growls, "Put that down," and takes a swipe at the ball with his claw, frightening the boy, and the boy goes running off. The other two boys just stare, the outburst from the displacer beast being unexpected since he was playing with them just seconds ago. The displacer beast yells after the boy to come back. Apparently, the boy's name is Vero. "I hate to put you out, but I need to stay with these other two boys. Can you go and fetch Vero for me? You can tell him that I'm sorry. I didn't mean to lose my temper."
Sure. Do you do that often?
"No, but there are unusual circumstances." He seems reluctant to share what made him angry. The boy has now disappeared into the crowds.
We Sure, we'll be right back.
So, who is going in search of Vero?
Elzenwell, because maybe he can level with them.
Talk eye to eye.
Exactly.
I'm not going to go out of my way right now.
So make me an investigation check or a perception check, whichever you prefer, to find the boy.
If I happen to see the kid, I will stop him. But he'd have to be like on the same path as me. I don't know if I should I roll a perception.
No, only Elson should roll since he's the only
All right.
one actively looking
Okay.
for him.
Sorry. That's not helpful.
Yeah. So your the first few minutes of searching for him, you're unable to find him. You can roll again. Still unable to find him.
Where did this kid go? Which direction did he head?
He headed south back towards the ticket booth that you were at. Try again. There are just, you're short and it's crowded. It is hard to find a kid who's also like below the level of the average carnival
I'm gonna
goer.
use an action point because this is worth it.
I mean, you could just keep rolling.
Oh,
It's just a question of how long it takes you. So it takes you about 20 minutes to find this kid. But you eventually do find him. He is at a stall eating some sort of like puff pastry that he got from the stall owner that seems to be covered in powdered sugar. His face is also covered in powdered sugar.
there you are. I have found you. Mr. Displacer Beast. It
You mean
was
Dolagron?
Dolagron?
Or
That's
Durlagron is his name.
Durlagron? That is his name. He is worried about you. He asked me to fetch you.
He was scary. Man. I know my brothers are back there, but
He felt he felt guilty as soon as you got out of sight. He regrets his decision. He doesn't he regrets getting angry at you and
well,
apologizes, although he would like to make the apology himself.
make me a persuasion check. Well, okay. Do you want some of my sugar cake?
A gleam is in Alzen's eye. I would not mind.
He breaks off a half of it that he hasn't bitten into and gives it to you.
This is delicious.
And you lead him back where you find Durlagron. Thank you so much for retrieving this child. I was I was cross with him because I once lost a cub, and this ball that the child picked up was my cub star's favorite toy. I miss my cub. It's why I care for all of the children that get lost. There are more of them every day. Since Shebop disappeared, at least. There are a lot of lost children.
What happened to Shebop?
Nobody knows, or at least I don't. I suspect Bale and Faye know what happened, but they seem reluctant to speak about whatever happened to her. You might be able to find out more than I could, as I can rarely leave this location. If you went and spoke with Fay and Fail, I assume they would tell you nothing, but you might be able to find something if you could look through their records, could look at in their quarters. That would be over in the staff area, though, and I know you have no reason to care. Thank you for retrieving the child, though. And he bows and apologizes to the child, Vero. And Vero immediately starts tugging on his ears. And they all start roughhousing again. So, meanwhile, while this is happening, Pielius is you were headed to the no, it was actually Elzin was heading to the feasting area. Is there some specific place you're going?
Well, so if I don't find the guy before I get to the feasting area, I'm gonna stop at the feasting area.
So you to get there, you're walking past. You could see that there is off to the northeast of you, there is a phosphorescent lake, and giant dragonflies are flying around. They seem to be carrying circus attendees as they fly all around the fairgrounds. So you realize that you might be able to get on a dragonfly, and assuming you could control where it flies, you could probably survey the area a lot more quickly than walking. Though you don't necessarily know how easy it is to control the dragonflies, as they generally just seem to be taking people on random flights, mostly around this lake with its phosphorescent algae.
Right.
You
I'll
do
keep
you
that in
do
mind.
occasionally see one leave the lake and fly around more widely.
Hmm.
So you're going to continue to the feasting area then?
Yeah.
And Mbop makes her way. Oh, did we lose Mbop? I think we did.
We did.
Oh,
No,
Oh,
okay.
she's
You
still
were
there.
you
your
were
video's
off.
frozen. Oh
You
no,
were
it's not.
off. Yeah, you were off my screen, and so I could only see Mike's empty chair.
I was like, where'd she go?
Yeah. I just needed to expand Zoom a little bit more than it was.
Also, I'm still here. I'm just making some food.
It's not mac and cheese, is it?
It is
No, we don't
ramen.
have any hot dogs.
So, Mbop, you make your way over to this Silver Song Lake. You see that there are two attractions here. There's a long pier at the end of which there are these giant geese, like the ones you saw on the way in. They have saddles on their backs, and they seem to be taking groups of people on rides around the streams that encircle the circus. But in the center of the lake, you could see there is a large crystal bowl in which the bowl is filled with water, and in which you could see there is a mermaid who is singing a gloriously beautiful, if somewhat haunting song, as lake water coalesces into magical sculptures in response to the notes that she's singing. There's a large crowd that's gathered on the shore around the sides of this pier to listen to her sing. As you're
Okay, so I'm
listening, you begin to hear someone in the crowd begins to boo and heckle.
I turn
Then you
around and
go
I'm
ahead.
crying because I'm so moved by the song, and I'm just like insulted by the booing.
You could see that the heckling is having an effect on the mermaid, but she is still singing. You then hear a second voice that begins to heckle her and telling her that her singing is awful and she should shut up. And then a third voice. And make me a perception check. Oh, so that was
Sorry.
way higher than I thought. Um, so you are able to see with a perception check that high, you are able to see each of the three hecklers, and you watch this one heckler, the first heckler, move off, and briefly you see its form shifts, and you briefly notice that it has the form of a giant crow for just a split second before it transforms into the second heckler and yells out in a completely different voice and then transforms again. And you would probably recognize this as Disguise Self, the spell that it's just casting in succession. Uh, all three hecklers really being just one creature, probably something like an Aarakocra, although possibly some other bird creature, all heckling this poor mermaid, who, upon hearing the third of the hecklers, immediately begins to falter in her singing, and she leaps out of her crystal bowl and into the water and swims away, just devastated at the fact that the crowd, for the first time maybe ever, as far as her experience, does not like her singing. You could see her form as she swims off down the stream to the south. The whole crowd is now upset, and the heckler transforms yet again into a fourth form and begins to disappear into the crowd.
That's so disappointing. Um, is there anyone close by Mbop?
I would assume you're like among the
Because I'm like
crowd.
in the crowd.
Yeah.
Well, Mbop is just outraged. And she turns to whoever's next to her and she's like, I can't believe someone would do this to
I
someone that
agree.
has such a beautiful voice.
The singing was beautiful. I don't know why someone didn't like it. Several people didn't like it.
Does
I
anyone
guess
think there's a way to get her back?
I'm afraid I don't know. I know her name is Palasha, but I don't know much about even where she sleeps in the circus. Uh, Maybe she's going back if she has like a dressing room or something.
Oh, Palasha, you poor dear.
Maybe she'll come back on her own. I hope so. I largely came here to hear her sing. People have been saying how beautiful it is.
Oh. Mbop turns around and she, is there a way she could track down the heckler?
Make me another perception check. The heckler is now trying to slip away.
Whoa.
So you are able to see the heckler in the heckler's new disguise as he or she is trying to meld into the crowd. The one thing you would know is that disguise self doesn't change your voice, and these were
Mhm.
three pretty distinct voices. So that's something unusual about this heckler. But you have identified the heckler as the heckler is trying to make his way out.
Okay, so I'm gonna scurry over and I'm gonna reach out and touch his back as he's retreating. I'm just gonna be like, "Hey, I think you're the one that made the mermaid go away. Why would you do that?"
So the heckler's currently in taking on the form of a female, and you hear a distinctly female voice come back and say, I don't understand what you're saying.
Oh, I think you do.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Oh, I think you do.
This woman is
And then
trying to
it's a
pull.
stare off.
Yeah, she's staring at you for a second, unsure of how to react to this. But she tries to make a break for it and run. Although you do hear her say, as she runs, in a very convincing impression of your voice, "Oh, I think you do." And she runs.
And Mbop is just she gives up. She's just astounded. And she's just like, did anyone else see that?
And
This
several
person
people
was the
around
one.
you, yeah, several people around you respond that, yeah, they saw, but they don't know what was going on. One of them says, like, she wasn't one of the hecklers, I don't think.
I'm so sure she was it, guys. And then Mbop is just heartbroken. She's devastated.
So the heckler has now run off and would take some trouble to track down, especially since she might not be in the same disguise anymore. So where does Mbop go from here? It seems the mermaid singing is done, at least for the time being.
What's close by to Mbop?
There's the gondola swans. There's the carousel across the way, and the feasting area is sort of northeast of that. You know that Elzen was going to go to the feasting area.
All right. I'm gonna go to the carousel on my way to the feasting area and see if I can meet up with Eldon. But a pit
Okay.
stop at the carousel first.
So Elzen, are you going to the feasting area still?
Yes. To get a
Uh,
second breakfast.
So probably at this point we'll go to Pebble. Pebble, you make it up to the giant teapot. As you get there, you see an enormous bubble coming out of the spout that is containing a human who is screaming for his life, but seeming to enjoy it as he floats about 20 feet above the fairgrounds. This bubble is carrying him to the south.
And he immediately runs into the teapot to try and do what this person is doing.
So as you go into the teapot, there is another goblin is there, and he extends his hand to you. You see the dwarf who is running alongside you hands him a ticket, and the goblin takes a hole punch, a wand really, and passes it over the ticket. You see a hole immediately get punched out as a little Chad drifts to the ground. There is a pile of Chads around this goblin as he looks at you and says, "Ticket, please."
Uh, what's a ticket?
Well, you're wearing two sets of wings. Does that mean you bought two tickets? It should be a
Uh,
little piece of paper that you got when you got the wings.
is this it?
Yes, that's it. And he
Okay,
points the wand at you, and a hole is punched in your ticket.
okay. How do I do that? How do I do that now? How do I go at the bubble? I want to go to the bubble. Bubble.
Well, you've definitely come to the right place. There's toil and trouble aplenty for people who come here. Just go and stand in the center of the teapot, and the trouble will form around you and carry you off.
The minute he says go and stand in the middle of the teapot, he's already running. He's not listening to anything else.
So you see there is a line of people that are lined up to get to the center of the teapot. As soon as they get there, a bubble seems to form around them, glowing in a sort of iridescent color of a normal soap bubble. And it immediately carries them up to a hole in the top at the end of the spout as they float out over the fairground.
So Pebble tries his best to wait in line because he does have enough sense to realize that people are trying to take turns. But after seeing a couple of people go, he can't contain himself, and he just like begins like leaping into the air and bounding off of people's shoulders to get to the middle.
Uh, People don't necessarily like that you're leaping over them. to get ahead of them so that you can ride the ride before they do. And you can see it is creating a little bit of a commotion. Nobody is stopping you, but it's creating a little bit of a commotion amongst the people there as they get annoyed at the line hopping penguin. But you make it to the center. All of you notice, by the way, that the weather overhead is not as good as it was when you first got there. There appears to be clouds that are building up. It looks like there could be rain. The mood inside the bubble pop teapot is less jovial than it was, thanks to the antics of this Pengal. But you make it to the center, and a bubble forms around you that is, slightly bigger than you are tall, and it immediately lifts you off the ground and carries you out. You find yourself drifting to the east essentially in the direction of the big top tent, though the bubble seems to change direction periodically. You
Joke's on
are
you, though. You have limited air inside of it. You're suffocating now.
Good thing a Penguin can hold his breath for an hour. So the minute that the bubble starts lifting him up, like Pebble just starts like ah, ah, and he kind of like spins around and he's just like barely contained just energy and joy. Uh and then as he starts floating above, he just like his face is pressed up to the bubble. He's like, "Oh, what's that? Oh, what's that? Oh, what's that? Oh, what's that? Oh, that's cool. What's that? What's that?"
You find that the bubble does react to your moving around. It's not easy, like it's hard for you to control the direction of the bubble, but if you really tried, you might be able to.
Pebble does not have the attention or the focus to try to do something like that.
So you begin to float in the direction of the big top. You see on the side of the big top, there are illusions on the canvas of the tent that seem to show circus acts that are in motion. Atop the tent, there are these large gold stars that are spinning in circles. And there seems to be people coming in and out of the tent constantly. And then we will go to the snail races. So Lee, you make your way to the snail races. You can see there it is. The track is somewhat lower than the surrounding area. There is a fence up to sort of prevent people from just watching the races without going through the guy who punches the tickets.
Right.
But you go to the gap in the fence, and there is the ticket taker is there, who asks to see your ticket.
Yeah, Lee has the cloth fairy wings attached to his belt. He pulls his ticket out.
And you see, as you're going in, you see there are two girls in face paint, one of painted like a lion, the other like a heart, who are squabbling over a painted wooden crown that they won. But you step past them and you present your ticket. The guy takes out a wand and passes it over your ticket, and you see a hole in the ticket forms as a small Chad falls to the ground.
Oh,
And
nice.
he raises the wand to his head in a little salute and motions for you to come in. Going inside, you could see there are several snails on the track already. There are people in the stands who are cheering as jockeys for the snails are getting ready to ride. One of the snails doesn't seem to have a jockey on it. And you hear an announcer say, "Again, we need someone to volunteer to be the jockey for the last of the snails."
Knew it. I knew it was going to be more like go-karts. But with
Lee's
snails.
just looking around. Where do I place my bets?
Who are you asking?
And like if there's a crowd, I was like, where do I place my bets?
So the crowds are in the stands. You go over to the stands and come up to the first person you see, and it's an elderly man who seems to be there with several children, possibly his grandkids, you would guess. And he says, "Bets?"
Yeah, bets. I mean, on the races, right?
Yes, these are races, but I don't know if anyone's taking bets per se. If you would
Of
like to
course they
bet
are.
me on who
If there's a
wins,
race going on, somebody's taking bets.
I mean, it's not an official circus function for them to take bets. I'm sure you could find someone who would be willing to bet with you on it. A lot of people here. And you could see that the snails are being attended by little pixie pit crews. All of the snails have numbers and their shells are painted distinct colors. The pixie, one of the groups of pixie pit crews are ushering one of the snails off the track since there's no rider for it. And the announcer says that the next race is about to begin.
I look at the old man and I said, I thought you were I thought you were here to place bets on the snail, teaching your children right, but I was going to compliment you on your parenting, but apparently not. I walk away.
He seems like stunned. He was about to answer you like why they're there, but his kids start to cheer as the snails begin to race, as snails do,
How
around
big are
this.
these snails?
They are about 10 feet long.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I know you mentioned eating one, but they are substantially bigger than the snails you might otherwise eat. You are
Well,
surprised to discover that the snails are, in fact, surprisingly fast, cruising along. They have a speed of 80 as they cruise around this track. The riders holding on for dear life, trying to coax the snails to go faster. You realize all of the snail jockeys are probably just circus visitors who are doing their best to make the snails move. Meanwhile, the people in the stands are alternately cheering for certain snails. Some are delaying the snails by throwing heads of cabbage down onto the track, which sometimes causes a snail to stop to eat the cabbage.
Wow, they're ruthless.
Those are the ones. Those are the ones taking bets or doing the bets. They got stakes in this.
well, the race already started. I mean, how long does this race last?
Uh, so you have to watch the first race. You can ask somebody or watch to see how long it
Yeah,
goes.
yeah, I'd probably get an idea how fast it goes. I mean, it's probably just one lap.
It turns out to be more than one lap. Each race lasts a bit more than a minute. Although a
Okay.
lot of that is, so there is a post that they have to reach again, and it turns out to be several laps. And then the first across the post is declared to be the winner. And you see the jockey is given a prize. The jockey is given a vial of some glowing liquid.
Okay. I'll go over to the jockey, kind of. Well, I guess there's probably a crowd around him.
Yeah, I mean, so there's not a crowd on the track. There's a crowd of pixies that are taking care of the snail. And then the announcer who has handed out this apparently potion.
So I'll go to the announcer. So what do the winners get?
They get a potion, a pixie made potion.
Okay.
Are you
Where
interested
do we
in?
where do you place your bets on these races? Nobody seems to know.
Um, this is not a gambling style race. This is purely for fun,
Well,
entertainment.
yeah, it's gambling is fun. Yes.
I mean, I'm sure someone at some point has bet on which snail will win, made a friendly wager or two, but it is not something we encourage here at the Shebop Circus of Spectacles.
Well, it's your loss, but it's okay. All
Are
right, and I'll
you
just kind of
interested
go
in
ahead.
participating as a jockey?
Riding a snail.
A racing snail.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen what you do with the other I haven't spoken to them about my other avian fellows who have saddles on them. So I haven't got to that yet. But no, I'm not going to degrade myself by riding a snail.
To each his own. A lot of people don't want to do it because it's a fast-paced sport. People can and are thrown from the snails. We do not in any way guarantee the safety of the snail jockeys.
Yes, but that doesn't exclude you from any negligence.
He calls over to one of the circus hands and says, "This man is interested in making a bet on the snails. Perhaps you could canvass the crowds in the stands and see if anyone wants to." And he looks back at you and does like air quotes, "take his action" or whatever they call it. And the hand, who is an elf who is sort of dressed up in clown makeup, says, "I'd be happy to try to find someone who'd be willing to bet you if that's what you want. Anything to
Oh
make the
yeah.
patrons happy."
Now, is
So
there now do you eat the losing snail at the end of the day? I mean, I guess not at every race, right? Because I mean, is there a surplus of these snails?
there are only 8 snails in the circus. We don't eat them. They're valuable steeds.
Yeah, but they're snails.
Racing snails.
Right, but they're still snails.
Yes, racing snails.
Right.
Perhaps you need to watch more of the races so you can get into the spirit of this. These are
Oh no, I'm in the
snails.
spirit. I'm absolutely in the spirit. I'm ready to bet and I'm ready to feast.
We don't eat our snails, sir.
Are they for sale? What if I buy one?
We don't sell our snails either. It
You
takes a
want to
long
bet on
time
it?
for us to breed fast racing snails.
You don't know what you so,
But the
okay,
circus hand
yeah.
goes and yells to the crowd, asking if anybody is interested in taking a bet from this Arakakra on which snail will win the next race. And you see a guy stands up and says, "What sort of bet is he looking to place? Is this like a, win, show, or place kind of a bet? Or we both pick a snail and hope that one wins?" Because
Yeah, I think that would probably be the case.
I'm willing to place a bet with you. How much were you thinking about betting? I have this fairy cake here I'm willing to bet.
Berry cake.
And he takes a cupcake out of his pocket. It's somewhat smushed.
Everybody's
Did
got to
Pixies
tell.
make it?
I'm not exactly sure who made it. We bought it from one of the stands.
Is it made with
It's,
Pixies?
I don't believe so. I think it's just pastry.
Okay.
But look, there's glitter on it. And the sort of smeared frosting on top does seem to have glitter in it.
I do know somebody, a small, short
Pixie blood.
person who may enjoy the glitter cake. As Lee kind of turns and looks and sees if he notices there's a penguin floating in the sky.
He is he is a bit north of where you are,
Okay.
floating near the big
Yes.
top.
What can I offer this guy? Oh, I don't have anything as glamorous as this glitter
Crushed,
cupcake.
crushed glitter cupcake.
Yeah. I guess a couple silver pieces.
Well, that seems unfair to me. I
Why?
only paid a silver piece for the cake. One
Okay, then
silver
one
piece
silver.
is a fair bet.
Okay. All right.
So they are currently getting jockeys for the next race. Uh, we will go back to Elzen. I assume you're making your way to the feasting area.
Yes.
So you would wind up probably meeting up with Paelius again as you both enter the feasting area.
Ah, Paelius, it is good to see you.
Have to try the food. What do we
So,
smell?
right, as you get there, you smell mead, baked berry pie, and flowers all mixed together. You can see there are elven stilt walkers who are walking from tree to tree, plucking fruit from them. There's dancing and merriment going on in general, as there are many people here that are sharing in big piles of food. You also see that there is a lot of custard. Like there is just piles of custard on the tables in addition to all the other foods. Most of the foods seem to have like layers of custard on them. And you also see there is a giant gray wolf who looks surprisingly a lot like Teash Fanon. Not identical by any means, but very similar looking. As you realize that this is Mr. Wolf is apparently a warg.
Yeah, I figured with all the goblin around. I'm gonna pick up, I don't know, like, something like a turkey leg or anything.
You don't see any meat, at least not upon first glance. It mostly seems to be pies and cakes.
Gotcha. I'll just kind of like go around whoever, if I find like somebody who seems to work there. I don't know that
There are
Elven, but
circus hands that are around sort of stocking the tables and taking away plates from people. You hear one of them begins to yell that the fairy cake eating contest will start shortly. Everyone who's participating should line up. Prizes
Ah,
will be awarded.
that sounds excellent. It is perfect. These fairy cakes are worth competing.
enjoy yourself.
How about this? You talk to this Mr. Wolf, and I will win us a prize that is of hardened cakes.
You go for it. I believe in you.
So it's going to take a couple minutes for them to set up the eating contest. So you go to Mr. Wolf, who is resting under a tree, whose
Actually, I
eyes are. Go ahead.
I would first ask any of the workers, like, hey, do you have anything like actual food besides this desserts?
What were you hoping to have, sir?
I don't know. Something hearty.
I suppose we could find you some meat dish, like a meat pie.
A meat pie. Sure.
So
If you can.
he runs off. He says he'll be a couple minutes, but he runs into a nearby tent that has smoke rising out of it.
I guess I'll look over to Mr. Wolf. I suppose
Mr.
there we
Wolf
go.
is still has his gaze fixed upon you, occasionally glancing over at Elzin. But he is, about 50 feet away from you.
I suppose my drone, well, I'll just keep it flying around just to sort of gauge where anything of interest might be, and any allies that it might come across, just to have it there, awareness wise.
As you are focusing in on your drone, directing it around, and your drone can see that the map appears to be generally accurate. You do see that the gold and purple structure on the south part of the map is a bouncy castle. It is unlabeled, however, on your map as such. But
Indeed.
as you're doing that, you also notice the crowd begins to part a little bit, and you see a little girl in a pig mask whose skin is a deep color of gray, who seems to just be staring at you directly, almost. It's hard to tell with the pig mask on, but almost sort of unblinkingly focused on you. The girl's skin is a sort of, it is definitely an unnatural gray. Like she looks like she might be undead, but you keep sort of seeing her. She is a little girl, so she's short in the crowd. As the crowd sort of comes together and you lose sight of her, when the crowd parts again, she seems to be gone.
Okay. And that was down here?
That was in the feasting area near the fence, near where your token is at the moment.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Um, okay. So yeah, I guess having seen that, I'll glance at Mr. Wolf again. Like,
Mr. Wolf doesn't seem to have reacted to it, as far as you can tell. But he's still looking at you. He's just, sitting still, seems to be enjoying the atmosphere and the music that he hears. You notice that you could hear the calliope music pretty much your whole way over until you got through the fence and into the feasting area. There are musicians here, but you can only hear their music in the feasting area itself.
got it.
And again, there's a number of people are dancing and having a good time in addition to eating.
I'm gonna
Go ahead.
I'll take a quick step outside of the fenced area, I guess, because I assume this is like a fence, right?
Yes. And as you step out, you begin to hear the calliope music again and don't hear the music from the feasting area.
Yeah, okay, interesting. Um, eh, just to take a glance around, just make sure I don't see this girl.
You don't
Is it
see her at them.
pig mask, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
Like a cartoonish, but otherwise like pink colored pig mask,
Got it.
like pig flesh pink. So it looked, a decent looking, well-made pig mask. See,
Okay.
he does look like a Dalmatian to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it.
I'll go to Mr. Wolf then.
Well, it has taken you a while to get here. Where are the rest of your companions?
They're around.
This is a momentous time. I knew you would be coming, and I knew you would land near the circus. I had hoped you would come here. I couldn't guarantee that. But it's good that you're here. There's much going on at this circus. Shebop is missing. You might find her for all I know. She could be a great aid in your overall mission.
And what do you know of our mission?
I know that you are a being outside of your own time, and that you have some aspirations for saving the future. I used to be very much the same as you, though I've since turned from that path. I no longer serve the people who live in future periods, but I don't oppose their goals either. The people who I worked for are different than the shepherds who sent you. The people who I worked for lied to me. The shepherds are not necessarily wholly truthful either, but a little more honest, I think.
That's why I picked them.
There are a lot of people here you could choose to help if you want to. You'll find that it's easier to enter the circus than to leave it, at least for someone at your level.
We have heard that there seems to be people going in but not leaving.
If you talk to the people here, you'll find that many of them don't know how long they've been here. Many of them will be stunned when they eventually do leave, if they ever do, to discover that they've been here for days or years.
Hmm. Oh, a lovely place we have stumbled upon then.
I notice you're not wearing your wings, a dangerous decision.
You think so?
There are thieves, shall we say, in the crowd who target those who don't have tickets. Not wearing your wings, they won't know that you are someone who has a ticket.
What do these thieves look like?
They take various forms.
What of
They're not necessarily going to steal your gold, mind you. Many people go missing here at the circus, taken by the thieves into other planes, taken away from the circus. The circus does what it can to ensure that only people who snuck in who don't have tickets get taken. But as far as anyone could tell to look at you, you don't have a ticket. I hope they don't take you.
I kind of hope they try. I'll like get on the little radio. I'm like, Elzen, don't eat the food.
So as you talk to Mr. Wolf, they're explaining the rules of the eating contest to Elzen. The goal here is just to eat as many fairy cakes as you can in a minute. Person who eats the most fairy cakes will win. Speaking of Crazy Legs Conti.
Yeah.
You line up, Elzen lines up with the contestants. Most of the contestants are substantially bigger than Elzen, but nobody necessarily counts you out since halflings are known, many halflings are known to eat copious amounts of food.
Hopefully he heard my message.
I don't know
Okay.
that Dustin heard your message. So Elzen, make me a constitution check to see how many fairy cakes you can eat.
All right.
Unless you heed my message.
Alzen,
I recommended not eating anything.
well, Alzen already had a fairy cake and it was very delicious.
Of
You
course.
had
I didn't know that.
You had a sugar cake. These are slightly different. These are custard covered pastries of some sort. They're about the size of like small saucers.
Is it con save or con?
Con check.
Okay.
So you are able to down the first fairy cake, absolutely no trouble. And you are currently in the lead, having finished it faster than anyone else. It is very good. The prospect of eating as many as possible seems to be the daunting part. But the first one was absolutely fabulous.
Delicious. More, please.
You see, even on the first fairy cake, at least one person has sort of bowed out, unable to finish it. So make me another con check.
It's just so rich.
So that's you see people are starting to bow out more and more, even on the second fairy cake, because like I said, they're basically saucer sized. You find yourself taking 3 custard damage.
Mustard damage.
Yes.
Oh man. Is that like
It's still good.
bludgeoning but internal?
It is like bludgeoning but internal, and you don't have to don't take it away from your normal hit points. Just keep track of them, as your custard damage level is going to determine when you stop eating these cakes.
Okay.
But your maximum, your custard hit points are equal to your regular hit points.
All right.
So make me another con check for the third cake. So let's see. You take another 3 custard damage. There are 2 burly contestants who seem to have powered through as many cakes as you have and are moving on to their fourth. They also, appear a little worse for wear. Custard is smeared on all of your faces as you're trying to eat these cakes as fast as you can. So make another one. You are able to avoid taking custard damage. And one of the other contestants, however, bows out. appearing to be completely full, he just sort of slumps down against a tree and grabs his stomach and yells, "No more, no more." So it's down to you and one other guy, a large bugbear looking fellow.
Nice.
Both of you are able to finish the next cake without taking damage. So you're on your sixth cake now. Oh, that's a low roll. You take 8 custard damage.
Oh man. Uh, Elzen Elzen feels his insides complaining, and he's very full.
What is your total? What's your custard damage so far?
14. And I
And what's
have
your
20 HP.
okay? The other guy's also not looking so great. You may outlast him. So roll again. Uh, you once again take no custard damage, and the other guy bows over and can't take any more. Can't even finish this extra fairy cake. You see, there is his little fairy cake explodes, and there is a shower of custard that covers and coats his face completely as you are declared the winner. And roll me a d8.
Well, wait, maybe he wants to go for a record.
That's true. You can continue eating fairy cakes.
Elzen will pass, and that's a 6.
Okay, that is. Let me see. And so the one of the circus hands comes over and congratulates you, raising your arm into the air in victory, and he hands you a small tin box. It contains magical face paint that will allow you to cast Disguise Self once.
Wonderful. This will come in very useful. But I can barely move. 6 custard pies later.
Right. Yes, you are very full. And we'll go back to Mbop. You approach the carousel, assuming Lisa's there. I
I'm
only
still
see
here.
black. Okay. So you approach the carousel. On the carousel, you see there are a number of wooden unicorns. As you watch, there's a half horse, half human woman who appears to be operating the ride. The unicorns you see immediately spring to life as she starts the ride going, and they start running in circles around the carousel, carrying some of the circus patrons on their backs. You hear them whinnying. One of them teleports a short distance after its horn glows. After 3 minutes, they stop running and turn back into wooden unicorns, and the patrons get off, stagger off the platform, and off into the circus. The centaur like woman then tells everyone that she'll be away for a couple minutes. She has to perform a little maintenance and take care of the horses, and then the next ride will start. And she then goes up onto the platform and starts apparently tinkering with the wooden horses. Hard to say exactly what she's doing, but she's running a wand over their manes.
Okay. So can I get in line to ride the horses next?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Is there a big line?
You could get on. It's not so big that you would have to wait. As soon as she's done tending to these wooden unicorns, you'll be able to
Okay.
get
Is
on.
she saying anything as she's waving the wand over the mains?
No, you don't hear her saying anything.
Okay.
She looks a little sad to you, though. You're not sure why, but she does look sad.
Okay.
But after a couple minutes, she comes back over and she starts she takes out a different wand and begins to punch holes in people's tickets, letting them go on the ride. She looks at you with her sad eyes and punches your ticket and motions for you to go and find a unicorn.
Okay. Before I go find a unicorn, can I say, "Oh dearie, are you okay? What's wrong?"
So she looks sort of side to side when you say that, and then she shakes her head and holds her finger up to her mouth, as if to say, like, no, don't ask. But she looks distinctly nervous as she does this, and she whispers to you as you walk by, um, "Solve the riddle of the horses, and you can ask the horses what the problems are."
Okay, dearie, I'll do that.
So as you go up to get on these horses, there are 6 of these unicorns. Each of them seems to have a wooden tag around its neck, but you find one of them that nobody's currently riding and get on.
Okay.
The tag around your unicorn's neck reads PR dash dash dash. You don't know what that means, but that's what the tag says. So it's this one. There's also one next to you that a different circus patron is riding. And they all spring to life and begin to move around. They seem to move in pairs. Now that you're on the ride, you can see there's an inner horse and an outer horse. Both your and the unicorn next to you disappear briefly, and you teleport a short distance ahead. As they seem to, I mean, it does feel completely alive. The mane turns to regular hair. The unicorn feels warm under you, and it seems to be a living creature. And you ride around in this circle that it makes around the carousel for a minute, at which point it transforms back into a wooden unicorn. And the centaur again announces that she needs to tend to the horses as the other patrons get off and move back into the circus, disappearing into the crowds again.
Okay, so as I'm getting off, can I ask the horse what's
So
wrong?
the horse now appears to be wood again,
Okay,
so
so
it doesn't respond. You do notice that the horse next to you, on its tag, it says fall. So there are no dashes in its tag.
here, dash dash. Huh.
And she comes up as you're looking at the other tag, and she starts to run the first wand that you saw her have over the mane, and you can see that the wand begins to glow, and the unicorn begins to glow faintly as well. You see that there are, whatever wear and tear is on the unicorn seems to fade away, scuffs disappear, and the mane appears to turn back into to an actual hair-based mane as she does this. It then turns immediately back to wood as the wand passes over it again. She again looks at you and whispers, "Look at all the tags. Solve the unicorn's riddle and you'll be able to talk to them." She then moves on, looking around as if she's afraid somebody will have seen her talking to you.
Okay, so can I walk around the carousel and then look at the tags on my way off?
Yes. So the ones in front of you, the first pair that's in front of you, the first one, so yours said PR dash dash dash, and then the inner unicorn had a tag that read fall. The one right in front of you's, its tag says fortune, and the horse next to it has a B dash dash dash. And then in front of that, the horse has a tag that reads M dash dash S. And then the second one has one that says stone. And then there's a final pair, one of which has a tag reading stitch, and the other tag says dash dash N dash. So let me post that in chat.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't write that down.
Fall with PR dash dash dash.
Fall with an F.
Yeah. Fortune with B dash dash dash.
Yep.
Stone M dash dash S. Stitch dash dash in dash.
Well, then I'm trying to find the chat. I'm on my phone, so everything's different.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I put it in, in the chat in Roll20.
Oh, that does not help me.
Yeah,
Hold on.
I can put it in the chat in
I can drop it.
Isn't it's supposed to be M dash dash S for the one next to stone?
Okay, I see.
yeah, you're right.
So can we all talk and work together out of character, or
Yeah, you
is
can.
okay? And Lisa, are you okay with that, or do you want to try and solve it on your own?
I mean, if anyone has ideas, go for it.
So,
And by the way, you also all have magical crystals embedded in your necks so that you can whisper messages to one another.
hmm.
So she could share this information in character.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just gonna say I share it instead of just saying everything. So, does anyone have any ideas of what these would mean?
Well, moss grows on a stone. Pride before the ball, or pride comes before the fall. Uh, Fortune favors the bold. I can't think of the stitch.
So as the centaur passes by Mbop again, she presses into your hand a small package, like no bigger than an apple, and you discover there is a tiny paintbrush and a little vial of gold paint in the package. You surmise it's to write the other letters on the
Mm-hmm.
tags, as it's in the same gold lettering.
Okay. And I do, what was it? Pride for the fall, or Fortune, Bold, Pride, Moss.
Well, I don't know if that's it, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. Fortune favors the bold, pride comes before the fall, moss grows on a stone, and something something stitch.
Will be Stitch something something.
Anybody here, Taylor?
Well, it sounds like it's just like sayings, right?
Yes.
Is it 9?
What would be stitch?
Isn't there a phrase like stitch in 9 or something?
There's a stitch in time. But if that's an in and not an M,
Nine sounds as good a guess as any.
I mean, I'll go with it. See what happens.
So yeah, you see as you write these things in, filling in the word nine, the tags begin, the text on the tags begins to expand out. And you do see the words appear. A stitch in time saves nine appears on that tag. And the horses all come to life and begin to clop around. And one of them looks at you and says, "Oh, thank you. It feels good to move and not have to carry people on our backs."
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm so happy for you guys. Why were
Well,
you guys stone or wood?
well, that's part of our jobs here is to carry people on this ride. It's fun to some extent to make people happy, but it is good to also have free time to ourselves. And you see the centaur lady goes off and starts telling people that the ride is going to be down for repairs for a little bit. So there won't be any rides for the next hour. And she then clops off herself, leaving you alone with these now apparently living unicorns.
She just goes away.
She's off to the side. It's like she's not completely gone, but she's nowhere near you. She was nervous about talking to you in the first place, though.
Okay. All right. Well, horses, is there something wrong?
Let me ask a question. Does Mbop have her sigil from House Bop visible, or is it hidden away?
It is visible.
So the unicorn would immediately recognize that
Mhm.
and say, "Have you seen Mr. Shebop?"
Oh no, not in ages.
That's a shame. You seem to have her sigil with you, though. We were hoping she was back. She disappeared a while ago.
Oh no, I haven't seen her. But I have heard that she, you know, has been missing.
This is her circus. The masters Cadfile and Cadfay don't really own it. They were like lieutenants, like assistants to Shebop. But then she went missing, and for some reason they became rather standoffish. Master Cadfile in particular seems downright surly, which he never did before.
How long has she been gone?
That's very hard to say in this place. Time doesn't flow inside the circus. Not anymore, at least. I think it has something to do with keeping the patrons safe.
Oh. Does anyone know the last time she was seen?
Again, time doesn't necessarily have a meaning. I know that she was visited by three hags. Sora Bavlorna, Sora Skabatha, and Sora Endelin came and made some sort of demand of her. The next morning, she was gone, and it was immediately nighttime, and we were trapped here inside the circus.
Oh wow. Well, I'll relay this information to my friends and hopefully we can find her.
I hope so too. If not, it may be difficult for us to ever escape this loop, this frozen time that we're in.
I like
So-
to imagine at this point you just hear "Whee!" as you see Pebble in the sky.
Oh, there's my
Yeah.
friend right there.
Yeah, you see Pebble floating by in a bubble.
He'll help.
And you see the bubble pops and he floats gently to the ground next to the carousel. So you see Mbop is on the carousel talking to unicorns.
So Pebble runs over and says, "Mbop, oh my God, that was so much fun. You got to try the bubble. The bubble is so cool. It was the best thing ever. Oh my God.
It was so fun. So fun. What's this here? Who are you?
Pebble, these are my new unicorn friends. They were
You
wood.
made new friends? Does that
I
mean they're
did
my friends
indeed.
too because I'm your friend?
I don't know if they'll like you.
What you said? Do you like me?
Well, you're certainly a very happy soul. What's not to like?
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. So what's up?
Well, Pebble, we need to find. I'm sorry. What was her name?
Shebop.
We need to find the Shebop. She's gone missing, and now everyone's on a time loop.
Bebop? Like mbop?
Yeah. She
It's
must
weird
be
that you
part of
guys
the
have
same
this
house.
similar name.
Yeah, I'm wearing her sigil.
What's a sigil?
A sigil is the symbol representing my house.
You have a house?
I do. I do indeed.
That's so cool.
Yes.
Can we go visit the house sometime?
Yes, I can invite you over.
That would be so cool.
Okay. So we're gonna try and help find the Shebop.
So, where does the sheepop go?
I don't know.
I mean, sometimes I get lost. Maybe she just got lost going for a ride.
Maybe we gotta go find her.
I mean, if she went in that bubble, maybe she just floated away and never came back.
Maybe.
Wait, what do you think, guy? What's your name? What I call you?
What's his name? My name is Silver Grail, and I don't think she floated away in a bubble. We know about the teapot, and she wouldn't have been stuck in the bubble. She could easily get herself out. Something happened when three hags came to visit her. We don't know what they wanted or why they might have made her disappear, but we know that after they came, within 8 or 12 hours, she was gone. And this place was plunged into a permanent night where time never flows.
That sounds like a lot of words. What's a hag?
A hag is a creature from another plane, a devilish creature.
Wait. Somebody said that word before, plane, but they didn't really explain what it was. Because I asked them. 'Cause I don't know the word.
So the horse sort of rolls its eyes. And looks down at you and says, "You know how this is the world?
Okay.
Imagine that there are other worlds that are like this one, but a different place, a different world."
Like a different settlement?
Yes, but even further removed, so that there's no matter how far you walk, you could never walk to this other settlement.
But then that's not real because you can't go there.
You can go there, but it requires magic to move to that new place.
So this person is in a place that you can only get to with magic? I don't know how I can help.
Well, there are permanent magic ways to get between planes, but in any event, we don't know if Shebop has been taken to another plane. This is just where the hags come from. They come
Well,
from a hellish place of darkness and sadness.
oh, dark and sad did not sound good. But if there are like these things the words that you use where they just stay the same, then you can walk there.
No,
they-
because
it
you
is
you would
real.
need to activate the magic in order to get there. But there are some places where this magic is a permanent fixture.
So you just need to walk there and open the door.
Essentially, yes. But it's not as if it's on the other side of a door. It's in a different world entirely. Do you know what teleporting is?
No.
Teleporting is like this. And you see its horn begins to glow and it magically appears 30 feet away and comes trotting back over to you.
Teach me how to do that.
Unfortunately, you cannot do that without learning a lot of magic, but
Oh.
we can do it naturally. But teleporting is moving between two spaces without moving through the spaces in between. That's how the magic works that takes you to another plane. You can move from one plane to another without actually moving through any other space. You just disappear in one place, one plane, and appear in the other place, the other plane.
You say you don't move, but you did move. You went over there.
But I didn't move from between where I am now and where I was. I didn't have to step to place my hooves one in front of the other to get to that other place. And if I
Then
had, if however far I move my hooves, I could never get to another plane. He turns to Bob and says, "Can you help me out here with your friend?"
No, I can't. You're doing great though.
Nobody can.
I'm sorry, guys.
He's-
I got a
he
7
exited-
intelligence.
I know.
He exited one time loop just to enter another.
Right. I am not annoyed, the DM. But the unicorn, however.
If Elzen were present, he would try to help out. But
Yeah, I do want to
Oh.
note that Abel probably doesn't know how to turn on or off his like communicator. So you guys might be hearing all of this.
So they would only be hearing your side of the conversation.
Yeah.
They don't pick up.
What's a plane? No. What's that? What's that? What's that?
Right.
What's that?
But you did move. You were here and then you were over there.
Okay, so I'm gonna just skip over the other stuff that I don't know if you're using good words or if it's bad words, but there's a person who is a potential friend who is in not so good of a place where there's a lot of sadness and darkness, and that's not good.
Well, we don't know that that's the case. All we know is that the three ladies who came from the place of sadness and darkness went to talk to our friend She, and after talking to them, she disappeared.
Wait, you said ladies, but before you said hags.
Right. Hag is another word for this particular kind of lady.
Okay. So
Like
it's like
you
a different
are
word, but they mean the same thing.
right. Like you are a Pengal, but you are also male. They're different words, but they both apply to you. Hag is the name of her race the race of these three ladies, but they're also ladies.
Okay. Got it. So uh, I don't know how to help because if these ladies came and then they made the person with your name sad and cry, and then she went away, and then it got dark, and then things got weird here. But it's so fun here, so I don't understand.
You hear a voice in your head, Pebble. Pebble, this is Elzen. Are you
Nancy,
There is a flash of lightning overhead as you say how pleasant things are here, and the unicorns seem to react to it and say, the mood of the circus is not good right now. If it were good, we would not be seeing these clouds overhead.
Oh, so it's sadness that makes the weather sad?
Yes, and the people of the circus are less happy than they might be.
Oh no. But you make the bubbles go up. I can't have you not be happy if you make the bubbles go up and make me happy.
I appreciate that. I'm not sure that you would be able to find she, and you have no real incentive to other than possibly you might be able to come and go, but we are trapped in the circus. You might also be trapped. I'm not sure if the patrons are trapped or not.
I don't
The
feel
peop
trapped. But we gotta help because not only does this person make the bubbles go up, and that's fun, but also it's a future friend. And I can't not help a future friend.
I can tell that you're a good soul.
See Elzen waddling out towards the carousel from the feast area.
Belt
Ah,
loosened.
Pebble, I found you. It was not hard. Your voice carries.
Oh, hi, Elsie. How are you?
Very full. But I won. I won the eating contest.
Pebble immediately jumps, and even though you are about the same height, but he still jumps and high fives.
Oh,
Pebble might be taller than Elzen.
yeah. I think Elzen's 3 foot, 3 foot something.
Yeah, I thought you were like 3'5" or 3'6", and that Pebble's like 4 feet.
3 foot 2.
Let's see.
Three
Pebble.
foot two. Yeah.
I'm 3'11".
So you jump and high five over Elzen's
Yeah.
head as Elgin grips his protruding stomach.
Oh, do not be careful. I'm uncomfortable at the moment.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. So,
So back
Oh,
to Lee for a bit. The next race is about to start. They've gotten enough jockeys now. You do have the opportunity to influence the race either by procuring yourself some cabbages, which it seems as if a lot of people have brought cabbages, and you discover that there is a bin of cabbages off to the side. So you could try
my
to sort of
cabbages.
you can throw heads of cabbage down to try to slow up other snails as they will stop to try to eat it, or yell encouragement to your snail and the rider of it. You also see signs that say no magic is allowed. Not that you
Okay.
tend to have a lot of magic, but you could be assured that anybody who uses magic will be dealt with harshly. So the race starts and the snails begin to speed around the track. Again, 80 feet is their movement, and they essentially have to move 500 feet. How do you want to try to influence the race, or are you too much of a pure sportsman?
I would have, so whatever snail we decide on, I would have tried to scope out the jockey to see
Mhm.
if they can handle said snail.
So all of the jockeys are again just people who are attending the circus.
Right.
So none of them seem as if they're particularly skilled in jockeying these snails. They're all learning as they go.
Okay. Uh, I will like go up to where everybody's standing throwing cabbages and tell them to throw them towards the one that is competing against me.
Okay, make me a persuasion check to see how many of these people you can
Do I
influence.
have any persuasion? I got a little bit. Not that much.
So you're not sure that you've swayed them. All of them seem primed to, throw cabbages or root for their favorite horse,
Okay. Hmm.
or in this case, racing snail. And the guy who you made the bet against looks like he's ready to just shout encouragement to the jockey of the snail that he has bet on. There are also three other snails racing, so it is entirely possible that neither of you is going to win. In which case, I assume you would agree whichever one of your two snails comes in
Right.
before the other.
I guess I will try words of encouragement then.
Okay. So that then is you make a charisma check against the guy you're betting on to see whether or not, because otherwise these snails are essentially exactly equal in speed. So it's just a
Right.
question of whether or not you can out encourage this guy.
Okay. Well,
We have to go again. It is like a photo finish, but your snail wins, so you win the fairy cake. The glitter covered, somewhat crushed fairy cake.
okay. Did my snail win outright or not?
No, your snail did not win outright.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I would have.
But he takes out another fairy cake and says, double or nothing.
He caught the bug.
Right. You have successfully made this guy a gambling addict.
Sure. Okay. We can do that.
So do you want to root for your horse or do you want to throw cabbages?
Um, I will attempt to throw cabbages this time.
Okay, so you can make a dexterity check against this guy's charisma check.
Oh God. Oh, no.
He manages to win and takes his fairy cake back.
Hmm.
Best out of three.
Well, that's what it looks like.
So are you going to throw cabbages again?
Hmm.
I mean, you could also try to find some other way to encourage or discourage your snail from winning.
I will go up to the so before the race, I will go up to the snail that I bet on, go up to the jockey and tell him or her or whomever that there's a glitter cake in it for you if you win this race.
Okay, make me a persuasion check.
Glitter cake?
So I was going to say you have advantage because you could also then shout encouragement as they go, but 10 is with the advantage. So he is going to shout encouragement to his racing snails jockey. Oh, but you win. He is disappointed, but he gives you the second fairy cake covered in glitter.
Okay. All right.
And he only has two pockets, so only had two glitter cakes on him. So he takes out his ticket, which you can see has like 7 punches in it, and says he's going to go spend the 8th punch to get another glitter cake.
I hope it's not crushed like this one as I look at it.
Yeah, they were both pretty crushed in his pocket. So it
Ah,
probably will be after he pockets it.
yeah. I hand it, I go congratulate the jockey in their successful race and give them a glitter cake.
So we'll say on the last one he actually won outright. So he raises his hand in victory as he starts to munch on this glitter cake, and seems thoroughly impressed by the taste of it.
Okay. I'm saving the other one for my little friend.
And you notice little rainbow sparkles shoot out of his mouth after he eats it.
Okay, and that's not normal.
No, not for most
Okay.
people.
Okay.
Where
All right.
is Lee going next, or are
So
you just going
obviously,
to find
like
some other
they
person to
just
bet?
line these snails up and just race them all day, right?
Yes,
Okay.
assuming they can find enough jockeys.
Right. Um, yeah. So it doesn't look like they're gonna it doesn't look like I'm getting a snail today. So um let's see. I'm gonna head up to where, well, I guess I've heard some sort of conversation. I've tried to tune out Pebble the entire time. But I'm gonna go up to the gondola swans because I want to see what's going on up there.
Okay, so back to Pielius. You are still talking to Mr. Wolf.
Right. Um. So I guess I'd ask him, what does he know about a little girl in a pig mask?
Ah, that's one of the hag's thieves. Have you seen her?
Yes.
That's not good. You don't want to get her attention. You're a little old for her to abduct, I assume. But if she's interested in you, you'll probably see her again. She mostly targets children and takes them away.
Hmm.
I don't know her name, if you were wondering. I tend to refer to her as Sowpig.
Sure. This. Can you leave?
I can certainly leave.
Who are the ones that cannot?
And he looks around and says, all of you, as near as I can tell. I don't think anyone else has the power to leave.
You don't think that this. Very well. Do you have any other information that you were meant to pass on to us?
Wait, is he suggesting that even we cannot leave?
Hmm.
Hmm.
I don't. I'm not here because I have to pass information on to you. I just recognize that a fellow time traveler probably would need the help. And I think you have a role to play in both the history of the future and the history of this place. And Shebop could be a useful ally to you in many times in the future. Do you know much about the Bop family?
Um. No, I do not, but I do believe I have one with us.
Yes, Bop. I'm aware that she's one of your companions. That might be why you have a chance of rescuing Shebop.
Where was she last seen?
She was last seen in the staff area in her wagon.
Where would that be? Well, show me on the map. Oh yeah, I see. By the
Yeah,
big
it's
top.
behind, right, it's
Yeah.
behind the big top. I don't know where she is exactly, only that 3 hags came to her and wanted to buy the circus from her. I'm sure she refused, as the circus is the life's blood of the Bopp family, at least at this point in history.
The hags came and they left then.
Yes, I didn't see the hags leave, but it seems as if they had their conversation and then went back from where they came.
Did they
Then
leave
Shebop,
anything behind?
no, but we know that they spent a fair bit of time interested in the Hall of Illusions. Why, we don't know.
Is that on the list here? On this?
It's to the south of the Big Top.
Oh yeah, that's it. My drone's near there. So I was like, ah, yes, I see it now. How long will you be here?
Not much longer. I was waiting to talk to you. I am surprised that your other friends weren't with you, though. I'm usually very good about predicting such things, and I didn't expect to be approached with by you alone. I assume your
Oh.
friends are off already discovering the various mysteries of the circus. Again, you may find that you can gather more information by helping all of the various circus hands and workers. They all have their own problems, or at least most of them do.
Yes, indeed. Tell me, what did you know of who was going to be here?
I knew that you would appear nearby at this point in history while the circus was here. I didn't necessarily know for certain that you would wander into the circus. You could have surprised me on that, but I left tickets for you just in case to ease your passage in. Many people who get tickets wind up having to make pacts with Midnight the Goblin who sells the tickets. The pacts are mostly harmless, mostly.
A pact to do what?
A pact that comes with getting the ticket. Unless you buy the special tickets, which I did for you.
I see. What happens whenever we fill out the ticket?
Well, that will mean that you can no longer attend any of the rides that require a ticket unless you go and buy a new one. At that point, you probably would wind up entering into a pact with Midnight. Some minor curse or magical effect would have impact you, at least while you're within the confines of the circus. Again, mostly harmless, possibly annoying, depends on the pact. Midnight doesn't necessarily control what effect is placed on you.
Well, I was hoping I would be able to get some nice food, but now I don't trust it.
I think you'll find the food is harmless. One
We'll
good
see.
thing about being in the circus is you could probably live here for years. The weather might get bad if the circus mood turns, but a little rain wouldn't kill you, and the food would still be edible, enjoyable even, for those of you who can eat sweet things and taste them. Wargs don't do sweet as well as humans or drow.
What of Pengels?
I'm pretty sure they can taste sweet. An interesting question. I never thought to ask it before. I know they can do savory and salty. And you do see the circus hand has come back with like a giant turkey leg.
I was about to cast detect magic, and just sort of glance around, just to sort of see if there's any sort of magical enchantments affecting any of the food. Custard specifically, I think, because it seems to be on the most things.
At least in this area, there's a lot of custard.
Mhm.
So are you casting Detect Magic?
Yes, I will.
So a lot, but not all of the food comes up as weakly magical. Mr. Wolf comes up as highly magical. The patrons and the circus hands seem to be normal creatures. You do detect magic on some of the circus hands, particularly the guy who's handing out prizes, who handed out prizes for the cake eating contest. He seems to have a bag that has some magical items in it.
Mhm. And I'm sorry, I didn't hear the verdict on the food part of it.
Some of the food is magical, particularly the frosting. The custard doesn't seem to be magical. There's just a lot of it.
What kind of effect on the frosting?
The frosting on some of the cakes, it depends. There's transmutation magic on some of them. Some of them have evocation magic.
Okay. Is prestidigitation an evocation spell?
No, I think that's transmutation. I may be wrong about that.
No idea. I'm not
Seems
going to
right.
eat those. And then this turkey
I mean,
leg.
I will just say, you notice that one of the people eating one of the custard cakes, the cake explodes custard over his face, and that seems to be one of the evocation magic ones.
Got it. Joke cupcakes.
You know what this makes me wonder? If prestidigitation is actually an enchantment spell and all of the sensory effects that it does aren't actually real. It just makes everybody around it seeing it believe that it's real.
Right. Well, in my games, enchantment tends to be the default for I don't know what school of magic this is. So like +1 sword, enchantment.
Right. Um,
But
well,
it's 1 a.m. where I am. So this is as good a place as any to break for the day.
all right. I'll just tell, don't leave yet. The friends, they might come back.
Yeah, we'll pick it up with you having the conversation with Mr. Wolf, not like he vanishes in a puff of smoke.
Because I figured I'll start walking to where everybody is.
Right.
Most people have gathered at least.
Right. So Elzin, Pebble, and Mbop are at the carousel, which is to the south of you. Uh, Lee is headed to the gondola swans.
Oh,
So
the turkey leg isn't magical, presumably.
no, it just seems it's unusually large, which makes you wonder if it's actually from a turkey or just some other bird like white meat. But it's
fine,
not
I'll eat it.
magical. I mean,
So I'll
it could be is Eberron. It could be dinosaur.
Yeah, that's
I'll
true.
just be walking towards the carousel, eating the turkey leg.
A raptor leg.
A predator leg. Predatory bird leg.
Right. It could also be like one of those terror birds.
And no matter what, it's a dinosaur, so
Right. That is true. I did forget that, but you're right. Technically, all dinosaurs. Even the humble chickens, dinosaurs.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
I mean, I imagine there had to have been some awkward dinosaurs too.
Well, the only dinosaurs that survived were the avian dinosaurs. There's the non-avians like the sauropods and all of them.
Right. And, raptors were actually in that group. I just
Mhm.
imagine they still tasted like chicken.